This podcast is brought to you by absolutely no one. We have no sponsors and no one cares. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Movie Mates podcast. I'm Matthew, here with Callum. Say hello, Callum.
Hello.
This is our second episode, and before we start, we'd like to thank you for the positive feedback we've received from our debut episode with the MCU films. Callum?
Yeah, very happy. We're up to 8 subscribers now.
8 subscribers. Damn straight. 8 subscribers.
We're currently recording in Matthew's grandparents' kitchen.
Callum's doing the Burt Reynolds on the table.
I am not.
He is
Slight upgrade from my bedroom. We're at a lovely kitchen island. Marble is this?
Might be.
Okay. It's wonderful. Still sharing the one mic though.
Yeah, still sharing the one mic, but that will be sorted soon. Today we're going to be discussing the worlds of DC, also known as the DCEU. So,
lovely and pretentious. Yeah.
Worlds of DC. Damn. So yeah, we're just going to be doing the same with the MCU, analysing films, scenes, set pieces, action, characters, effects, and so on. So Callum, if you would like to get us underway with Man of Steel.
Sorry, just to say, if you hear a loud clank, that's just me enjoying a nice ice cold glass of Diet Coke.
Ice cold.
Ice cold. Classic Matthew's granddad phrase.
Sorry, Callum's trying to get this is what makes the podcast great, because it's so terrible. We're trying to get notes up here for Man of Steel.
Yeah, sorry, they're on my phone.
I would give a bit of a filibuster, but I've nothing really to filibuster about.
I have a lot of notes about the upcoming pods. Hopefully get to rom-com soon.
Stay tuned, yeah, rom-com episode coming within the next few months.
Okay, find it.
He's found it, okay.
Okay, so yes, Man of Steel. Released 2013, directed by Zack Snyder.
Is it that long ago? It feels like
it was 2013. Wow. Saw it in the cinema with Daniel
Garcia Wilson.
Daniel Garcia Wilson. It's probably not how you say his name. Just give it a go. Yeah, I enjoyed this film very much actually.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, Henry Cavill, obviously British-born actor, cast as Superman in it. What do you think of his portrayal of the
pretty solid American accent?
Yeah, it is pretty. He's also jacked.
He is jacked. I'm very picky about accents, but he does a pretty good job.
He does. Yeah, we've got Henry Cavill, obviously. There are so many funny scenes in this movie, especially the Zod neck snapping you see. It's an infamous. It's not really hilarious, but it is. But we've got. Who plays Lois Lane again?
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams, yeah. I think she's good as Lois Lane. I think they give her a lot to do with her character, and it sort of gives us more of a.
She's a really good actress, but I don't think it's definitely not an accurate portrayal of Lois Lane. So
really.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely not. They do give her a lot to do, which is kind of a deviation, which is good in some ways, but it's just not what I'm used to.
I haven't watched all of Smallville. What's her character like in that?
She's barely in it. She comes in season 4, and she's kind of a side character. She's Chloe Sullivan's cousin, if I remember correctly. Really, Lana Lang is the main love interest for that show. She's kind of peppered throughout it, but Lois is kind of a secondary character, and they only really get together in the last 2 seasons.
Okay. One of my favourite characters in Man of Steel is Michael Shannon's interpretation of General Zod. Mm-hmm. I think the opening scene on Krypton with Jor-El, who's played by Russell Crowe, is great. It's really, really good action set piece, fantastic effects, and an excellent score. Really good score.
Yeah, definitely.
Michael Shannon's performance is good. Yeah, he does what he's meant to do, including getting his neck snapped. Also, we have. Lawrence Fishburne, that's his name.
Perry White. The man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend. What a
We'll get them in Batman vs Superman.
We will. And his hilarious
moment.
Line. Yeah. In terms of action, Man of Steel, any particular favourite?
Yeah, it's a very odd film because it's structured very differently to most films. So it's kind of hard to pick out, first, second, third act. Yeah. So they kind of hold off on most of the action and then just blow their load in the third act. Mostly in a normal film there will be a small altercation with the villain in the first act.
Yeah.
A slightly more advanced one, and then the final battle. But basically the first interaction between Superman and Zod is the massive fight. Yeah.
Our friend Jack, who obviously listens to the pod. Thanks, Jack.
Well, he's gonna give it a go.
He's gonna give it a go. We don't blame him if he doesn't finish it. It's not great. But he pointed out about the religious imagery in Man of Steel and how overboard it is.
How it's stupid.
There is a really funny scene where like Superman's jumping out of an alien spaceship with his hands something like that.
Matthew physically mimed that, forgetting that this is a audio medium.
But regardless, I think the action in Man of Steel is excellent. I think
it is very
Henry
good.
Cavill's performance is equally as good. I think Amy Adams as Lois Lane serves her role nicely.
Yeah. I missed a Jimmy Olsen character. We'll talk about him in BVS, but I kind of missed them in this.
That reminds me of the character that gets his legs blown off.
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
But have you seen Supergirl?
Not all of it.
No, because they do such an odd portrayal of Jimmy Olsen. Because now in season 4 they've introduced Lex Luthor, so it's kind of feeling more like the Superman comics. I wasn't that familiar with Supergirl when I started watching it, and now it's on season 4, and it is kind of getting very, very similar to the original Superman comics.
Good?
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird, but the villains are pretty solid this season, unlike previous seasons. But yeah, I was just thinking, this is such it's fitting with so many old Superman tropes. I wonder when they're going to introduce Jimmy Olsen, completely forgetting that he's been in the show for 4 seasons just because it's so different.
Yeah.
Because he's not even a photographer really, he's the head of a media publication, and they call him James. And he's so picky that you don't call him Jimmy. It is just a really weird departure.
One thing in Man of Steel that I laugh at every single time is the bit where Kevin Costner? Is that
yes.
True? Yeah. Who plays Pa Kent gets absolutely destroyed in a tornado. It is an emotional scene, of course, but then he puts his hand up saying,
"No,
stop,
son.
Invincible son."
No son with superpowers.
Yeah. Which is unintentionally hilarious. One thing about that performance with Diane Lane and Kevin Costner, they give a really grounded performance, and I really like that. The performance is excellent.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it, but yeah, just thinking about it, they actually do make quite a believable couple.
I didn't actually know Diane Lane was married to Josh Brolin.
Oh yeah. I mean, no longer.
No longer, no.
Yeah.
That's the effect this Thanos snap has for you. In terms of
wipes out half of marriages.
Yeah.
Otherwise called the divorce rate.
Yeah, that was our snapping of fingers.
Yeah, it was crisp, wasn't it?
It was crisp.
The story overall, what do you think?
I think the story is good. I think for a new interpretation of Superman after Brandon Routh's interpretation, well, not interpretation, it was a carry-on from
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeves. I think it was good. I think it was new, fresh, and a really good start to the DCEU. As I've mentioned to you privately before, Man of Steel is definitely in my top 3 favorite superhero movies of all time.
Really?
I really like it. Yeah.
The structure of the story kind of puts me off a little bit. I think structuring it around flashbacks was maybe a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't really need to know that his motivation as Superman is because he was pushed down once.
Yeah. Dick splash.
S wipe. No. The boss scene is very good actually.
What would you give Man of Steel out of 10? Sorry, I just burst that off. Anyway,
we should briefly talk about the effects.
I think the effects are great.
Do you?
Yeah.
The third act battle is a little bit of a letdown in some ways. The throwings into buildings. Yeah. It doesn't look as bad as some of the Marvel movies, to be fair, effects wise.
Yeah, we've talked about Black Panther's poor visual effects, but Man of Steel, I think, in general, is quite good.
Yeah, obviously a man can't fly, but that's probably as best as cinema will get at making it look like they can.
Before we give it a rating out of 10, Callum, what would you pick as your favourite scene in Man of Steel?
I've been slightly critical of the flashbacks, but I do enjoy them. The bus scene is a favourite. I'd probably go with that. It is interesting to see him as a child.
My favourite scene in the movie is the oil rig scene, when the oil rig's going to collapse and everything but his trousers turn to fire.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You enjoyed that scene, didn't you? Yeah, big time.
He is ripped.
He is Jack.
But my rating out of 10 for Man of Steel would be a 9. I think it's a really strong entry to the DCEU Worlds of DC in this case, and I think the visuals are fantastic. The acting is solid, and the effects, are great.
Yeah.
What would you give it out of 10, buddy?
I'd probably give it a 7.5, maybe. I do think there are some parts that let it down. I think it was maybe a mistake. If they were already intending on an extended universe, I think they probably should have teased it slightly more. Mm-hmm. It seems very standalone for like the launching point of an extended universe.
Was there a post-credit scene in Man of Steel?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah. I don't believe so. And even if there was, it didn't tease any other DC characters, at least,
Justice League was excellent. We'll get into that, but
then, it kind of seemed like all the other superheroes came out of nowhere, because if Wonder Woman's allegedly meant to have been alive for the last 1,000 years, you would have thought that would have been brought up in Man of Steel.
I think or
at least briefly mentioned.
Yeah, I think one of the Worlds of DC directors did hint that after the oil rig scene, Superman is thrown into the sea. Yeah. Aquaman saves him or something.
Aquaman,
I'm not sure whether that rings true, because there's no indication of it in the scene whatsoever.
I don't think a director ever said that. I think that's...
Is it just
that was a fan theory, and it's maybe been retconned or maybe winked at. There was originally meant to be an end credit scene where you see the a box of kryptonite be delivered to Bruce Wayne's mansion.
Of scraps.
Nope. A box of kryptonite delivered to Bruce Wayne's mansion.
Oh really?
Yeah, to tee up Batman v Superman. I don't know how accurate that is, but I think it was Zack Snyder who said that. So
interesting.
I guess that's trustworthy enough, isn't it?
Well, speaking of Batman versus Superman, that is the next entry into the DCEU. You and I and our friend Ross, we went to see it together.
Yep.
A little film anecdote about that.
Yeah, you take it away. I'm the one with all the stories.
Well, by all means, you tell it if you want.
I mean, I'll tee it up. Yeah, we were. Matthew had a habit of not letting us book as a group when it came to cinema tickets.
I was quite social media shy, shall we say. This is before we had each other's phone numbers.
Yeah, we didn't have each other's phone numbers, so we couldn't organise to all meet at the same time or to sit together. So we were sitting rows apart to begin with. And all I'll say is there was some annoyances, and Matthew can take that away.
So I was sitting quite to the left of the cinema near the exit. Callum and Ross were together opposite end of the cinema.
Yeah, and sat with my dad.
What?
We were sat with my dad.
Oh, was your dad there?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. Anyway, so there was this young girl who was on her iPad the whole time, and then her mother thought it was best to turn the volume of the iPad up in really intense scenes. Also, to make it worse, this girl was standing up.
I thought it was a boy.
Oh, was it? Well, whatever. This child was standing...
I think she had multiple children with her.
Yeah, this child, whenever she stood up, her shoes started to light up.
Yeah.
And it caused quite a visual disturbance for the film. But
yeah,
regardless,
it was pitch black.
It was,
and then just a rainbow of shoe lights rained down. Unfortunately.
Regardless, what were your thoughts on the film?
I really enjoyed it. I've seen it a couple times since, and my initial reaction has lessened. Mm-hmm. I do see some of the issues with it, but not all of the ones that people point out. Okay. I enjoyed Lex Luthor more than most. It was kind of Riddler-esque, but yeah. I kind of went in with the mindset that this is, kind of a... Blade Runner kind of set up the idea of a used universe, one where you're kind of just dropped into a universe that's existed for however many years. So I kind of, went in with that in mind and kind of said to myself, oh, well, I'm sure the Lex Luthor that is famous from the comics existed, and this is Lex Luthor Jr. Yeah. So, I thought this universe has existed for decades, thousands of years, obviously. And at some point there was a Lex Luthor Sr., and then he had this child. So even though we don't get to see it, I kind of had that backstory in my head. That's maybe, a viewer shouldn't be expected to do that, but I kind of went in with that.
My thoughts in the film are, when I originally viewed it, I thought it was 5 out of 10 at most. But then I've subsequently rewatched it, and it's been added to Netflix and recently, and I really like it. I think it's got a lot of charm. It's and it has an element of a political thriller in the way that Winter Soldier does, and I really like that film. And I think Henry Cavill's excellent. Ben Affleck is superb as Bruce Wayne, and Gal Gadot is amazing as Wonder Woman. My only issue with the film, I say only issue, I have quite a few issues, but my main issue with the film is Luthor and the Doomsday plot.
Yeah.
I think Doomsday is shoehorned in and rushed and would be far better suited to Man of Steel 2.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I hope they maybe bring him back for.
Really, they should have cut, like, the movie's over like 2.5 hours long. They should have cut out maybe 40 minutes and had the Batman versus Superman fight be the final act.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely, like, it seems like they've just tacked on an extra 40 minutes so that Superman and Batman could, like, fist bump and be best friends.
A lot of people do criticize the Martha scene, but it does make sense when you think about it.
Yeah, I'd thought about this a few years ago because I was thinking about how many, you know, Peters there are in the Marvel universe,
And James.
And then yeah, it's James, and then I was like, oh, it's such a weird coincidence that Batman and Superman have the same, like, their moms have the same name.
Yeah.
And I never in a million years thought it would be brought up in a film, so it was so weird to see, but it was great, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought it paid off because they had done so much to, you know, people criticized them for adding another Batman origin, but I think it was necessary to show how much pain Bruce Wayne had been through and why the calling of his mother's name actually affected him.
One of the most hilarious scenes in the film is when, like, a young Bruce Wayne is screaming in slow motion after his parents are brutally shot. He's like, no.
But great. Even weirder, you know, the next scene right after that, it still shows young Bruce Wayne, and he's, like, carried up by bats. Like, do you remember that?
And then there's another great scene where, like,
yeah, you have to admit Zack Snyder is great at openings.
Yeah.
Like, we'll talk about Justice League.
Not so much as religious energy, but regardless.
We'll talk about Watchmen in a subsequent episode as well, because it's excellent.
Yeah.
We will talk about it. What was your next point?
Granny's peach tea.
Granny's peach tea.
And then the guy blows up in the courtroom. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So what was that guy's name? Do you remember?
That guy was.
I know he's played by Scoot McNairy.
What a name!
But I don't remember the name of the
actor.
actor. Did you hear, like, the fan theory that he was going to be Barry Allen? Or not the fan theory, like, did you hear, like, people, it was rumoured that he was playing Barry Allen?
It would have been a very old Barry Allen. That guy's, like, in mid-40s, surely, isn't he?
Well,
Scoot.
Well, that's the other idea of, you know, a used universe. You know, you're dropped into it. So, like, he could have played, like, he could have been like a Jay Garrick-esque character. See, he was the first Flash, and then now it's Wally West.
That's what I wish that the Worlds of DC would have done, because there were 2 original movies. In fact, I would argue maybe 3 original movies. Man of Steel, BVS, and Suicide Squad. They all deal with, like, older, edgier heroes and villains. Like, since I would say Justice League, which introduced a younger Cyborg and Flash, I would have rather they stick with, like, a darker, and it's in the future, if you know what I mean. Because obviously Superman has just started out, but it's an older casting, and obviously Ben Affleck's been Batman in this universe for 20 plus years.
Do you know what comic I'm talking about, where it's the Justice League, but it's decades in the future, and, like, Batman's, like, broken his neck or something, he's in a wheelchair, you know, because he's so old. But like, do you know
what, Dark Knight Returns?
No, it's
Kingdom Come.
Yes, Kingdom Come. Like, I wish that they had built it up so that the Justice League film was like that, where it's, you know, kind of old, broken down versions of the heroes. Because that's what I disliked about Avengers Infinity War, because it didn't meet the tone of the rest of the series. But if they had done that for Justice League, that would have fit the tone of the universe that they set up. So yeah, I kind of wish that they had brought in older versions of Cyborg and the Flash, or they were second iterations of them. Yeah. You know, not just, oh, this is the first Flash that there's ever been. Because if, you know, Wonder Woman's been around for like 1,000 years and Batman's been around for decades, you know, it would make sense that other heroes would have risen up and not just like 2 or 3 in the last thousands of years.
Just found out that Scoot McNairy, that's such a great name, plays Wallace Keith.
Okay, I could have not told you for $1 million like his name.
Holly Hunter plays Senator Finch with the classic Granny's Peach Tea line. Yeah. And also we'll have to comment on Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White.
Perry White.
And his crime wave sweeps Gotham. In other news, water wet.
That is maybe the single greatest movie line of all time.
I think so.
That is such excellent delivery. It's weird that in like a 2 hour and 40-minute film, I probably couldn't tell you any other lines from that film, but that has stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, there's quite a few humorous scenes in Batman vs Superman. Probably most of them are unintentional.
Yeah.
Favorite scene in the movie for you, Callum? What would you say?
Get back to me.
Well, my favorite scene personally would either be the face-off between the Man of Steel and the Caped Crusader, or or Batman versus basically Luthor's rogues, if you know what I mean. You know, the guy with the flamethrower, and then Batman throws a batarang or something, he gets blown up.
I would say either Batman's assault on the warehouse or his nightmare.
Oh, the nightmare scene's really dark. I love
it.
Like,
because of how little they, continued that on in the universe, it makes no sense.
And it also makes me miss it.
Yeah, but just watching that film and that scene, I mean, it's been shoehorned in there to, show that Dark Side is coming, but I think it really works as an individual scene. It doesn't really flow in the film.
As an individual
but
scene,
as an individual scene, it's
yeah.
excellent. Did you notice that Superman? It was shocking how many lines he had, because it's called Batman v Superman.
He doesn't have that many scenes.
And he has like 12 lines or something. I don't think it's that, but I was so shocked when I heard it, because thinking back on it, I'm like, oh, Henry Cavill did such a great job, but he's barely in it.
Yeah, the Ultimate Edition has a lot more Henry Cavill as Clark Kent. Yeah, I have it. And the Clark Kent has been more of a journalist, but...
Fun fact, I don't own a Blu-ray player, so I can't watch any of these extended versions.
But my favourite scene is probably the Batman assault in the warehouse. The end fight with Doomsday is not bad, it's just really heavy on the CGI.
This is the first instance of the big fire and smoke battles with a ugly grey CGI villain. Yeah. I mean, there's one scene with Wonder Woman's slicing at his leg, and Superman's punching him in the face, and Batman has a grapple gun for whatever reason.
Batman is useless.
It looks like total dog shit, but but most of it's fine.
What is your opinions on Batman using guns in this universe?
It looks like total dog shit, but
Batman using guns in this universe.
See, there are iterations obviously of Batman in the comics even, and in the in other films where he kills.
Yeah.
In the 1940s, was it 19? It was 1930s. It was 1939, because this was the 80th year of Batman. Mm-hmm. In 1939, in his introduction, he used guns. So I don't understand the argument when people say, oh, he never does that in the comics. Clearly he does, but
or did at one point.
Yeah, it definitely works in the universe, but I don't like it, because there needs to be something to separate him ideologically from the other heroes, because if you take away Batman's moral code, why hasn't he killed the Joker?
Yeah.
Why hasn't he killed his entire rogue gallery if he's willing to just kill
I agree.
Joe Sixpack on the street?
What would you give Batman vs Superman out of 10, buddy?
Well, as soon as I left the cinema, me and my dad both give it an 8, I believe. Harry might have given it more, I don't remember. But I'd say upon rewatches, the flaws have been slightly exposed, and I would probably give it a 7.
7? Yeah, for me, I would give it an 8. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Structure lets it down a little bit, but the political thriller element to it, and also some of the lines are real dumb.
Also, another fun fact, do you know, General Zod, the way he's turned into Doomsday, he's kind of submerged in the gross
goo.
yellow jelly goo.
Yeah.
Did you know Jesse Eisenberg, that's a wax doll?
Oh, Michael Shannon?
Yeah, so Michael Shannon didn't show up to work, so it's just a wax doll that Jesse Eisenberg's feeling up under goo.
Yeah, I was but
do you remember a few years ago when Michael Shannon said in an interview that he couldn't get into a toilet or something because he had claws on his hands?
No.
Do you not remember this?
I do not remember this.
Right, so he said that he'd be back for BVS, and then he said I was unable to like I was stuck in a porta potty or something because my hands were like turned into pincers, which made everyone theorize about what part he had in the film, because they were like, oh well, obviously General Zod doesn't need CGI additions, so people knew like years in advance that he was playing Doomsday, and I suspected. And then do you remember that massive, like really long, like 3.5 minute Comic-Con trailer that just spoiled every single part of the movie?
I think it was the second trailer. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. The Comic-Con one didn't spoil that one. Yeah, it was
the one that showed
second official trailer. Yeah. I hated that. I was so angry about that.
I think that's why. I'm not going to say it was solely because of this trailer, but I think a lot of people viewed that trailer and thought, I'd rather see Civil War instead.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the movie still made a fair bit of money, just nowhere near as much money as it should have with like the two powerhouses that were in it.
I'd actually like to change my favourite scene to the
Water Wet.
No, Water Wet, and also the scene where Superman meets his dad on the mountain in a dream state.
What
but
was
it's also hilarious because
it's
like,
terrible.
Because like Kevin Costner's like, us men of Kansas live in a pancake.
It's one of the longest scenes in the film and one of the only scenes with Henry Cavill in it, and it's just Jonathan Kent telling a story about like diverting a river and actually like killing a bunch of horses or something.
Where
he's like, I got a cake for it.
He's like, when I was eating my hero cake, the horses were drowning. But anyway,
do you like horses?
Yeah, I'm not against them. Yeah. Next film in the worlds of DC is Suicide Squad. Colin, take us through that.
So David Ayer direction, 2016. I quite like it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the flaws are obvious. You know, it's way too weirdly stylized. There's too much neon in it. You know, they wanted to make the Suicide Squad seem like cool and hip. You know, Joker has tattoos. He's awesome, which just didn't connect with me because I really like gritty anti-heroes, and you know, I wanted to see them like just murdering. Like I wanted it to be, you know, a really hard, aggressive film, like really gritty. Sure. But all the reshoots turned it into, you know, a bit of a mess. A bit of a like circus lark. Yeah. And, yeah, I didn't like that aspect of it.
One element of it that I do like is Deadshot and Harley's relationship in it. I think Margot Robbie's performance as Harley Quinn is great. I think she brings a nice element to the character that is
very inconsistent accent.
Very inconsistent. It's supposed to be I believe she's from Brooklyn.
It's supposed to be Brooklyn. Like her standard American accent's very good. Yeah. But her Brooklyn inflection only appears in some scenes, so it is a good accent, just very inconsistent.
Weirdly, Margot Robbie.
Attractive.
Margot Robbie's worst performance might be in this movie, even though it's a great performance. Like that's how a good caliber actress
she is. Such a good actress. I haven't seen her in many other things. I've seen parts of Wolf of Wall Street, and I've seen her scenes from The Big Short. Mm-hmm. She's in a bathtub. I can't explain why I've seen that.
But regardless, Will Smith's interpretation of Deadshot. What are your opinions on him?
I think he's pretty good.
Me too. I think he's good.
He's a bit bland, I suppose. You know, the acting is pretty solid for the material he's given. Did you hear about the recasting?
I did not. Oh, it wasn't Idris Elba?
It was Idris Elba. For the follow-up, they have cast Idris Elba. But I don't understand. We'll maybe talk about this. I think at the end, after we've finished all our reviews, we're gonna maybe talk about predictions or anticipation for upcoming films, maybe in the next couple of years. So we'll get onto it. But yeah, I think that's really dumb. We will get to it.
Favorite member, least favorite member?
Weirdly, I really like Captain Boomerang.
Me too.
Jai Courtney.
He's usually really bad in every other film, but in this movie, he's quite good.
I think it's pretty much when he's using his accent.
Right?
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just. I don't know. Like that's a fact from the film, you know.
My least favorite member is probably El Diablo, because there's a bit where like burns his family.
Oh, that's brutal. And then at the end, he's like, "You're my family," and I'm like, "Wow, you're gonna kill them too?" And you've known these people for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Though it's weird. Like yesterday I was rewatching the Midway airport scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually all right. I mean, the music's a bit overdone, but other than that, it is pretty solid. They cut Captain Boomerang out of like a sack
Yeah.
a sack that's been mailed from Australia to America.
I quite like that.
Yeah, I quite like that.
I do like most of the team. Killer Croc, I quite like. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I did like him.
Oh, the prosthetics are excellent.
Really good. The trailers presented a far different movie, in my opinion. I think they presented it as a Hardy Joker movie, when in reality it was more of a Deadshot Hardy movie, which I'm okay with. It's just the fact that Jared Leto's performance as the Joker wasn't up to standard that we've previously seen in other DC movies.
Also, there were a few trailers, there was maybe 4, and it was very odd because 2 were very dark and then like 2 were very humorous.
Yeah,
and they didn't present it as a mix of both, which is what we ended up with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so odd because, you know, they're murdering people and they're cracking jokes. Mm-hmm. It works for Deadpool, but it just didn't work for me in this film.
No, it doesn't really. Plus, it's a CGI faceless army again, and the villain is basically doing like Huda dancing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was about to say, like, do you even remember who the main
Cara Delevingne
was? Yeah, Cara Delevingne, the Enchantress, and then she's brought her brother Incubus.
I don't even know who that is.
Incubus back to life. But she just like attacks a random guy in like the public bathroom, and then goes, "You're my brother now." It's such a weird interaction. Do you want to talk more in depth about the Joker?
I do want to talk more in depth. The tattoos I think it's a good addition, but it's just.
I don't hate the tattoos.
No, I don't hate the tattoos either. I think the look of the Joker's good. I like the purple trench coat. I like the tattoos. I like.
But is he allergic to a shirt?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I like the trench coat, but stick a shirt on.
Jared Leto is. Oh, I see what he's trying to do. You mentioned he was a method actor, is he?
Oh, he's a very method actor. So he clocks in, you know, to the character. And he stays in that character for months at a time. So he was just like, this is very alleged because. It seems like something that the cast are probably hyping up, you know, to like
sell tickets,
like to sell tickets to build anticipation. But they were just saying that they were getting like sent rats and used condoms and sticky magazines. Like it's a bunch of gross stuff. Apparently, he sent Will Smith bullets, which is brutal.
But I think Will Smith's really good. The Joker,
he's fine.
Not so much.
No.
I don't really like Leto's performance. I'm glad he's gone. If I'm being brutally honest.
He might not be.
No, I guess.
I mean,
I'm excited to. We'll talk about.
We'll talk about
the Joker movie later. But I'm intrigued to see what Joaquin Phoenix can bring to the table. Favorite scene in Suicide Squad, Callum? What would you say?
I quite like the Midway airport scene. Actually, that's, you know, where they all suit up. Yeah, I quite like that.
My favourite scene would probably be the Batman flashback when he's encountering Deadshot.
Yeah,
I think it's quite a good scene. Deadshot's daughter's a very talented actress.
Have you noticed how terrible the choreography is when Batman just like lands in the alley? He kind of does like a weird like dance almost, and then like flaps his cape, you know, so elegantly.
Who's the prison guard who's quite humorous in that movie?
Ike Barinholtz.
He gets a lot to do.
He is so good. He was recently in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And he's a really funny guy. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Hopefully we get to do an episode about it.
Yeah. In terms of effects, movie's not great. I'll be honest. I think the end battle is really
the end battle
stupid.
Looks horrific. Even if you're willing to, you know, say that it is good, you can't argue that it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah.
I mean I can't even remember what they're called. The weird. Like bug race almost.
I don't know
like
either.
with the lumps on their face. I couldn't tell you.
But
they look horrific.
They do. If you were to give Suicide Squad a rating out of 10, dude, what would you give it?
It's definitely gone down since since we even started talking about it. I was like, I quite liked it. I don't. It's maybe a 6.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6.
It's all right, but
the first 30 minutes are. I would go as far as to say 9 out of 10. The first 30 minutes, of course, we've got the opening title cards, which I strangely like.
Oh, I hate them so much. Yeah, like the weird like baseball.
There's
cards.
Like 30 shots of Viola Davis like eating a steak.
Yeah.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
And then you find out that Harley was involved in the murder of Robin.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why hasn't Batman killed her?
I know.
Do you remember like
he saved her as well?
There's like a weird makeout scene where he like goes to give her like mouth to mouth, and then she like uses tongue. Like, it's very weird.
I do like the Joker Harley flashback in Ace Chemicals. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is alright. Just I don't need Jared Leto like another shirt dissolving.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I didn't need to see his back again.
Well,
what did you think of the end credit scene? Because there aren't that
Remind me
many.
again?
There aren't that many DC end credit scenes. It was just basically Viola Davis handing over all the Justice League profiles. Oh, we didn't talk about the email scene in BVS.
And how much I hate it.
Very briefly, we'll get back to BVS just for a minute. We have to talk about the emails.
Yeah.
That are just
They have the logo of the Justice League for some reason.
Yeah. See, I don't mind the emails like with the intros of the characters because, you know, no matter how you introduce them, unless you give them a solo film, it's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
So I get that, but I don't get LexCorp mocking up logos for all the heroes.
The Aquaman one's quite funny because like he's moving so slowly in the water, and
his,
then
his hair's just floating back and forth.
Yeah. But regardless, let's move on to the next entry into the worlds of DC, which is Wonder Woman 2017.
Indeed.
Would you like to take us through who directed that and what do you think of the movie?
That was 2017. Did you say that?
Yeah,
maybe.
I think
Patty Jenkins.
Great movie.
I think it's a pretty good movie. It's definitely better than most other entries into the worlds of DC, but I don't love it. And it's a similar idea with Black Panther in that it's very important. You know, female director, great female cast.
Yeah.
I love everyone in it, but I just feel like there's something missing. I don't know. It didn't resonate with me on a very deep level.
My personal opinion on the film is I think it's really good. I think Gal Gadot's performance is even better than her performance in Batman vs Superman.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think
she has like 4 lines in BVS, and it's like just Bruce Wayne hitting on her.
You've never known a woman like me, Bruce Wayne. Then the next actor I want to talk about is Chris Pine. Who plays Steve Trevor. I was going to say like Stevie Jenkins, but he's a politician. Anyway, Steve Trevor. He might be my second favourite Steve in comics.
After Cap, of course.
Of course. Really, really talented actor. Really funny in that movie. Really good. Great backstory. Really emotional scene at the end, albeit stolen from the first Avenger.
Yeah. There are a lot of similar themes from Captain America: The First Avenger. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I really liked Chris Pine. I think if you're gonna, it was a good subversion of, you know, the girlfriend role in films, given to a man this time, of course. But he was still given a lot to do, and I think he did it very well. Yeah. I think him and Gal are equally charming.
Definitely. It's definitely important to note that Wonder Woman is a really important film.
Yeah.
Really important for the industry in terms of female representation and being the first female solo movie. However, I don't think that can excuse some of the choices
Did
the
you
movie
ignore
makes.
when I said that?
Did you say that?
A while ago.
Oh, sorry. I'm just reinstating it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think, in my opinion, I think the villain is poor. I think Ares is
the
really...
villain
David
is very
Thewlis does give a good performance, but it's not up to standard of Gal Gadot's performance, in my opinion.
I'm going to destroy you, Diana! That is so good. It's so awful. Yeah. we just looked at the mic volume and that spiked.
We apologise, headphone users.
But I really like David Thewlis. Mm-hmm. He's good in many other things, and in this he's just not given a lot to do, and the script for him is awful.
Yeah, it's bad.
And another a repetition of BVS is the end fight scene where it's kind of just smoke and rubble and lightning.
I quite like that scene.
I don't like that scene.
The scene I probably like the most is, I'd say, the opening act in Themyscira. I think it's very good. I think Themyscira looks great. I think the animation for the storytelling of the Greek gods is great.
Yeah.
However, what was I going to criticise maybe about? I can't remember what I was going to criticise about. But I think the costumes, everyone's costumes is good. I think they made Wonder Woman's like, it is like battle armor, and it does adhere to the comics in that way. It's a good...
You know, it's not over-sexualized.
No, it's not. It serves its purpose.
Yeah. And
I think it does the World War I aesthetic very well.
Very well, yeah.
In terms of favourite scene in the movie, as I said, mine was the acting... Themyscira.
Mine would definitely be the trench scene.
Oh, trench scene
where she blocks
yeah.
all of the bullets. I think that's excellent. Just to go back to the villain, I think the Ares twist was unnecessary. Because
would you prefer it if it just stuck with General Ludendorff?
Well, Danny Houston is in everything, and he's not a good actor, and he's not good in this.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
But it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, his German accent is like is it good? I don't know, but it's hilarious. I
haven't seen the movie in ages.
I don't know if it's good, but it's hilarious. And someone pointed out, and a lot of movies do this, and it really annoys me when people are meant to be from a different country, but when they're amongst people who also speak that language, they speak English. Yeah. So he's just chatting to Mara. No, what is her name? You know, the gas specialist. Whenever he's just chatting to her, like he's chatting in English.
Yeah.
No, do you remember the scene where they like throw the grenade into the group and they're just like laughing with each other? that scene is so good.
The film is really, really nice to look at. It's a really visually appealing film. I think the score is excellent. Like the Wonder Woman theme is great. That woman is playing, what's her name? Dr. Maru.
Yeah, it's weird because the name is said like 4 different times, like in 4 different ways. You know, they say like Dr. Maru and then like Dr. Maru and Dr. Morrow.
Yeah, you know Robin Wright's character. I thought she was called Antelope. It's not. It's
Antiope.
Antiope. But from a critical perspective, I think the first Avenger. This might be controversial, but as I say, I do love Wonder Woman. I think it's a really important and a successful film. But I think First Avenger does everything better than it.
Yeah, it is a very similar film. I would say that the love interest is a step up.
Oh, because well, I don't know. I think Steve and Peggy are good.
Oh no, I think the relationship is only as good, but I think as individual characters they work better.
Oh yeah, I
because
think
if you, I mean, obviously Agent Carter is great, but I think Steve Trevor's an improvement.
Yeah, definitely. Wonder Woman, obviously, probably one of my favourite entries into the worlds of DC.
There haven't been that many, to be fair.
No, 7?
7 maybe. Yeah. We'll talk about all of them.
What would you give the Wonder Woman film a rating out of 10? Yeah.
See, I have to recognise that it's a better film than Batman vs Superman, but I enjoy it less.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So okay. I'd maybe 7.5.
Yeah, I would give Wonder Woman an 8. I think it's a good.
That's fair enough.
Next entry into the worlds of DC is Justice League.
Justice League.
Yeah, take us through that.
So another Zack Snyder entry.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I loved this film when I first saw it. I haven't seen it many times since, but it just felt like Justice League the animated series put into live action. You know, it was dumb and it was weird, and that's what everyone criticized about it. But that's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
Because you know there are of course nonsensical things, but that happens a lot in animation. It absolutely doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the universe, like at all. You know, looking at there's such a stark contrast between BVS and Justice League, but I enjoy them both in different ways.
Of course.
And it was kind of upsetting that it wasn't the fully formed Justice League until like the very end. You know, I'm used to a 7-member league, and for most of the film, it's just 5. Mm-hmm. It's 4, and then Aquaman joins later.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind
of. Although my criticism of Aquaman in that film, as much as I do love Jason Momoa's depiction of the character, he has nothing to do.
He's barely in it.
And plus, his powers aren't really on full display because no scene is in water at all, really.
Yeah, there's one where like he goes to Atlantis and then he like is put under a bubble by
Mera.
by Mera. But also, you know, in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I'll save it for when we talk about Aquaman.
Sure.
In case it's spoiler.
My opinion on the film is doesn't fit the tone of the other films in the universe. When I went to see it, it was opening night on a Friday night, and this was after people had finished work, I assume. But the theatre was empty. There was 11 people in it, and it was packed. And it was far from packed. What I meant to say, like no one was in it, and that shows in the financially. I think it only made 600 million.
Yeah, I saw it the day after. I saw it in the morning, and no one was there.
This film was like destroyed by critics. Like
absolutely.
People hated it. I don't hate it.
Mr. Sunday Movies and Meso had fun with it.
Yeah,
you know,
the mustache. I didn't notice it. I'll be honest. Right, this may be controversial, but I wouldn't have noticed it if no one pointed it out.
I would have like you know the opening scene where it's like a Snapchat.
Yeah,
a child is like, it's for the podcast.
It's like wow,
it's like, then why are you taking a video?
Yeah.
But no, his lip is like quivering like a wave, and it looks awful. I wouldn't have noticed in any other scene. But can we just talk about the opening of the film?
Yeah.
To Sigrid's Everybody Knows.
Yeah, there's a guy that kicks over a box of oranges.
No, but like, don't laugh. It is such a good scene.
It's a good scene, but that is not. It's so funny.
But it was to show like racism. Because
Yeah.
it was I think it was an immigrant's fruit shop or something. If that's me calling from memory, so I don't know if that's accurate, but. That scene gave me chills because
it was really good.
there's one lyric and it's everybody knows the good guys lost, and that just really hit me, because I was like, it just brought me back to the death of Superman in BVS, which we didn't talk about, but yeah, that hit me really hard, and I've grown up with these characters from since I was really young. The Marvel films are obviously on the whole better than the DC films, but I'm more of a DC fan because I really did grow up on Justice League the Animated Series. That was my big show for all of my life.
You mentioned it calls back to some similarities with the Justice League Unlimited and Justice League.
Yeah.
I think the film does humour well, although not every joke lands. I'll be honest.
Definitely.
I think Barry Allen Ezra Miller's depiction of Barry Allen is good. I think he's funny, although the running style is so strange.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, he's meant to be the most comedic character in the film, but weirdly, his jokes are the most forced.
Yeah.
Whenever he's like, "It's the bat signal," it's like, is that funny? Like I was genuinely like trying to figure out.
Why do we have a thing called brunch?
Yeah, I can't believe that's a running gag in a Justice League film. Like that, he's afraid of brunch. Just every time Matthew goes way too close to the mic, the audio spikes and it's hilarious. But we should go on to Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf, portrayed with the voice by Kieran Hines.
Kieran Hines.
I don't think he's great, I'll be honest. I think he's real bad. Although the scene on Themyscira when he's trying to get the mother box is fantastic.
I mean, it's 100% not Kieran Hines' fault, because one, the script for Steppenwolf is awful, obviously, and you can't even tell because of how like warped the CG is, and also his voice has been modulated, so there's basically nothing left of Kieran Hines. Yeah. All the good parts of his acting are gone.
We've criticised villains in MCU films before in regards to the Abomination and Malekith.
Yeah.
I think Steppenwolf's way worse. I think
this is probably, it's kind of ridiculous this late in cinematic history. It was 2017 when it came out, and it looks no better than the Scorpion King. From the early 2000s.
Like this is a 2017 film. Hulk was released in 2003, and I think the Absorbing Man still looks better than Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's one part where he catches a missile and it just looks ridiculous. It looks like two children playing with their action figures.
Yeah, it does.
It looks awful.
One thing I will criticize the movie about is the way they obviously the scene where Superman's brought back to life is great. The scene, especially when Barry Allen is running and Superman turns his head, is
that's
fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really clever. Although one thing I will criticize it for is the time frame in which he gets back and fights with the League. I think it's so rushed and it's so forced. I hate it. Like, where does he get a new suit from? Like, it's the only one made.
There's a deleted scene where he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and there is a spare like red and blue one, and then there's also the black suit, so that's where he was initially meant to get the famous Death and Return of Superman black suit, but obviously they reshot that, and the reshoots are so obvious for every single scene that was clearly reshot, like the part where Batfleck just has a muscle armor because he's clearly like put on 100 pounds since the start.
Woman gives him a bit of a massage while redislocating his shoulder.
And she's in her suit, but she's also like wearing a robe, like a shawl. I was like, I don't understand why this is happening. We should talk about the effects on the whole. I think the Flash's lightning is excellent.
I didn't think I'd like it, but I quite liked it.
Yeah, Superman looks good for the most part. But basically everything that Joss Whedon did with the film I dislike.
Yeah.
He had Superman return and, just beat up Steppenwolf himself while the League watch on smiling. Like that's so dumb. And then, he's responsible for all of the color distortion and the orange skies, those were initially, grey, and it looked better in the trailer than it does in the final film.
Yeah, I think Superman, I can't help but feel like Cavill's been a bit undermined, because in all the DCEU movies, he doesn't seem to have much to do. Even in the solo movie, he has nothing to do basically in Batman vs Superman, and he has even less to do in Justice League. Like, he comes back and defeats Steppenwolf himself. So, but one thing, favorite scene in the film for me is the end credit scene with him and Barry Allen.
Really I really like that. You know, that connects to, you know, all the classic moments in the comics where him and Barry have raced. Famously, Barry always pulls back on purpose because they're for charity. So he makes sure that they're always a draw. You saying that completely reminded me of something in my very loose notes that I forgot to mention. Let's just call this segment "Who's Out," because there are so many actors that have just given up on the universe. So first, let's talk Cavill. Do you know much about this?
I knew that he confirmed his departure and has moved on to filming The Witcher series.
Well, he has moved on to filming The Witcher, but no one other than, I believe, Deadline have confirmed that he's out. So he hasn't said anything. In fact, he made a really weird Instagram video where he's like wearing like a Krypton training t-shirt, and he has like a Superman action figure that he's like raising above his head while it's like I can't remember the music. Is it
Caption Getting Ripped?
I think it's We Are the Champions, but I don't know. In my mind, it's like Who Let the Dogs Out. I don't think it is. But basically, according to the reported, news. I know we said we wouldn't talk news, but this is related to the film. So apparently he isn't being treated as like an A-list star. He's kind of, he was paid significantly less than Ben Affleck, and he was given quite a poor salary for Man of Steel. Actually, I think it was $300,000. Wow. Where like Robert Downey Jr. is making like $50 million for Avengers Endgame. So he wanted to be treated like an A-list star, which he should be, because he founded this universe. He's a staple of it. He's a really good Superman. Visually excellent.
He looks like Superman from the comics.
Yeah, and his agent was really pushing for it, and at a point DC just said, no, you're out. And we will get on to details of Shazam, because he was meant to be in that film, and we will get back to that when we start talking Shazam.
Yeah.
But also, do you know about Ben Affleck's departure?
Is he still in rehab? I can't remember.
I think he's out of rehab, but even before he was out of rehab, he is officially out. I don't know if he's out of the larger universe, but it has been 100% confirmed that he will not be in Matt Reeves' the Batman. Yeah, it is a pity, because I think with his like older, kind of gritty, sore version of Batman, it would have been cool to see like the villain counterparts of that.
Yeah.
Like it would have been cool to see, an older, more worn Riddler and
I think an older Scarecrow would be really cool.
Weirdly, like Batman has one of the most famous road galleries, but I don't like most of them. If there was a film like where just the Penguin was the villain,
I don't like the Penguin.
No, or the Riddler.
I like Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze is alright. If they did, a 70s or 80s Batman with like an 18-year-old and said that it was still in the DC universe and this is just a younger Ben Affleck, like if they cast an actor who just looked like a younger Ben Affleck, I'd be perfectly happy with that. And then they did, cool versions of Mr. Freeze. Like I think he could carry a film.
Definitely.
So that's most of the details that have been released. Ezra Miller, have you heard?
Is he co-producing The Flash still, or?
Well, very very recently, he was signed on to co-write The Flash. You're right. It was meant to be released in 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about it. But he's apparently out. It's unconfirmed, but apparently, as quick as the last 2 weeks, he is apparently out. Wow. It just seems like they're all dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And I'm quite concerned about.
I don't want this universe to fold.
I don't want it to fold either, because I have even the ones that aren't great, I always enjoyed them.
Yeah,
and I'd rather get some than none.
Yeah, we'll get into the most recent entry in Shazam.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So let's get back to Justice League.
Yeah, concluding thoughts for Justice League. Good film, witty, lot of structural issues. I think Zack Snyder's if he was directing it, obviously he had a little input in it, but if he had full creative control.
He directed almost all of the film and then they reshot a bunch of it.
Yeah.
So they could release a Snyder cut, which
I think
people
a
are
Snyder
asking
cut would
for.
be great.
I think it would be great. Like if they could just let him release a 2.5 hour cut, I think it would be excellent.
Snyder does get a lot of criticism, but every film that I've watched of his is an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
And some are excellent.
Yeah.
Rating out of 10 for you, Callum, what would you give it to?
See, it's such a weird film because I recognize that it's not a good film, but it's an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
It's there are a lot of comic book movies like that because they're often hit or miss, and sometimes they're enjoyable and sometimes they're good, and then sometimes they're both. Which is it's actually rare that you find like an excellent one that is also enjoyable.
Yeah.
So this is a bad one that's really enjoyable
Guilty
for
pleasure,
me.
would you say?
Yeah. So in that, I guess I'd give it a 7.5.
I'd give Justice League a 6. Yeah, that's why I'd give Justice League.
Fair enough.
Next film in the worlds of DC is Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aquaman.
A huge gap.
Is it over a year?
Like it was November 2017 and then December 2018.
Yeah.
Like it was such a huge gap.
I actually didn't see this film at the cinema. This is the first superhero film in years that I didn't get to see at the cinema because I was really busy over the.
Have you seen it yet?
I've seen it. Yeah. Over the festive period, I watched it.
Okay.
Illegally.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was really good. It feels like many reviewers have compared it to this, but like an 80s, 90s action movie. It's great.
But I think they mean it in a bad way.
Like as in like.
Because it's such a weird film. Because again, I don't think it's a very good film, but I enjoyed it.
I actually really like it. I think visually it's excellent.
Really?
I love what they do with Atlantis. I think the different
Atlantis
areas
is very good,
of Atlantis is great. Patrick Wilson is Ocean Master, fantastic.
Yeah. Also voiced the President of the United States in.
Yeah.
Come on, Matthew. You don't need to Google talk to me.
No, I'm trying to Google. He played Black Manta.
Oh no, I don't know that either. But can I go back to the point I started to make in Justice League, but didn't want to give away any Aquaman spoilers?
Yeah, go ahead.
When him and Mira first meet at the beginning of this film, they don't know each other, but they met in Justice League, and I'm pretty sure
it's her twin sisters.
Yeah, like as soon as Aquaman was over, I rewatched that scene, and I'm pretty sure at least one of them refers to the other by name. At least he would recognize her, but he just goes, "Who are you?" And then just like,
no. Jason Momoa is great, I think, as Aquaman. Obviously, Aquaman's received a lot of unfair criticism for being sort of, a bit silly, but I think Jason Momoa is great. Amber Heard, great as Mera. Patrick Wilson, as I've mentioned, fantastic as Ocean Master. Willem Dafoe, hilarious
as always.
Yeah.
He plays Volko.
Volko, yeah.
So yeah, he's such a weird, elusive character. He's the Mickey Rourke of the DC universe.
Does he even exist?
Doesn't even exist. I mean, we will talk about the Spider-Man trilogy one day and how excellent he is in that. But in this,
avenge me.
He's not given much to do. No. He's not in a lot of the film. But I don't like the training sequences that he has with a young Aquaman. And the underwater, like for the most part, the underwater scenes in the film are pretty solid. I think, but the training sequences are awful.
An awful scene that it is when like a kid Aquaman's getting bullied and they're like, a shark hits the tank.
Also,
and he's like, grr.
Also, he's meant to be like there. You see like 3 different versions of young Aquaman, of him being like 8 and then like 12 and
none
then,
of them
and then
alike.
20, and they look nothing like each other. And the 12-year-old is one of the worst actors I've ever seen in my life. Like, he is genuinely horrific.
Yeah. We've got Black Manta played by. Apologies if I do butcher this name.
Classy.
Yeah. Is it Yahya Abdul-Mateen II?
Yeah,
we'll go
I'd say that.
His costume is excellent. I love it's like probably my favorite villain costume in any comic book movie.
It's probably one of the most comic accurate costumes ever, and it does look excellent. It looks weirdly real world.
Yeah, definitely. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this film made over $1 billion at the box office. Did it?
I believe it did. Yes.
Yeah, huge financial success. Not so much critically, but one of my favorite entries into the DCEU for sure.
I'm struggling to keep all my thoughts in my head because for Aquaman, I didn't love this film, but weirdly I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
One point that I'll make before I forget it, I mean, these thoughts aren't exactly in chronological order, but I find it really cool that for once, the hero's parents didn't have to die to push him along. His parents actually end up, back together at the end of the film. It's a really sweet ending. You know, usually one or more of their parents is dead.
Yeah.
But you know, I really liked that. That's how the film ended. One thing I'll say, there are two big twists in the film. One is that Ocean Master is the villain,
and Nicole Kidman
is alive.
Is alive.
But both of those are so obvious from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
well, obviously comic fans.
Anyone who has any knowledge of, you know, anything to do with Aquaman knows that, you know, Ocean Master is his big villain.
Yeah.
You know, it was such an obvious twist.
One of my favorite aspects of the movie is the suit by the end. I think the suit.
I mean, he steals it from a dead body.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
That is a bit weird.
I think the suits in Aquaman are generally very good. The prosthetics are very good for the fishmen, I guess.
There are CGI, I think.
Oh, are they? Well, anyway.
Yeah, weirdly, we might get onto this a bit further, but the king of the fishermen is played by Jimon Honsu, who plays the wizard Shazam in the film.
And also he's in Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like he gets around.
He does. He's a very talented actor.
He is actually, yeah. I presume he's not American because his accent as Korath in the MCU does seem a bit odd.
I will just check.
Matthew's just gonna give it a Google.
I'm gonna guess Ghana,
I don't think he is American.
No, he's Benin, so in Africa. Very talented actor. Anyway, really, really good in those movies.
This is another film that my dad fell asleep at. Wait, did he?
In Aquaman?
I know my brother did, briefly at least, but I don't know. Maybe my dad didn't. I don't remember. I will say the third act battle. Like, I just roll my eyes. To me, it looks terrible.
I don't know what's going. I didn't really know what was going on.
No, it's just like, it's underwater. Like I pretty much don't like any sequences that are set underwater.
I think they do it well though.
The underwater talking is very good.
Yeah.
But just the onslaught of like fish and there's sharks and seahorses and people are throwing things, and then there's weird revelations during the fight underwater and they're screaming things at each other, which is something that Shazam parodies, which we may talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just like shouting at each other from like miles of ocean away, and they're just like throwing sharks at each other.
Shark.
Yeah, but then by the end, like, you know, they fist bump and their mates. Like, I hate that. You know,
it feels a bit cheap.
Ocean Master, you know, clearly killed a bunch of people, but you know,
it's for the environment. It's fine.
But him and, you know, Nicole Kidman get to have like a tearful, you know,
swan song.
You know, a
reunion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Favorite scene in Jason Momoa's Aquaman? Cam, what would you give it?
Get back to me. I will have to think about that.
My personal favorite scene is probably the opening scene with Nicole Kidman and Thomas Curry. Really good.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of action sequences in things like Kingsman with really quick cuts, which can look either like horrible or great. And there's one scene where about, you know, 10 different Atlantean guards are attacking her at once, and she's, you know, kicking some and shooting some, and it looks excellent. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect that. You know, I expected the action to be really poorly shot, because James Wan is the director, and he's a horror director.
Fantastic director.
He is a fantastic director, but I didn't expect him to pull this off, because he is prominently known as a horror director, and it was odd to see him direct a superhero film.
One aspect of the film that I had viewed in the trailer was the fight in Greece.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I had not seen any trailers for this, so I went in completely fresh.
It was really visually exciting, that film. Black Manta, as I say, excellent. I like the laser beams that come out of his eyes, really
I think
clever.
It was maybe a bit too long. The action scene. I think... because a lot of it is just it cutting back to Mira still running on like rooftops, and I think that went on for a bit too long.
Mira's hair seems to change in every scene as well, similar to that of Kate Mara in Fantastic.
To be fair, like, she looks very attractive. No, moving on.
Rating out of 10
for her or
Aquaman the film.
Can we just talk about the end credit scene quickly?
What was that again?
Well, throughout the film, I was hoping he had a bigger part, but Randall Park, who is an excellent comedian, he played Jimmy Woo in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's given a very tiny role, but then in the end credit scene, he's shown to be giving medical assistance to Black Manta, and
they're working together then, are they?
Yeah, but I didn't imagine he's playing Stephen Shin. Did I say that?
No.
Dr. Stephen Shin. and he isn't a villainous character in the comics to my knowledge. He's meant to be kind of integral to
Thomas Curry and Arthur Curry. Or
what?
Is he integral to the Thomas Curry and Arthur Curry's narrative? Or?
I'm not sure because I'm not really familiar. He was introduced in the New 52, I believe, and that's where he was kind of injected into Aquaman's origin.
Yeah.
So he is quite important in the New 52 continuity, and it seems kind of weird to see him maybe portrayed as like, you know, operating with the villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I guess they can change things from the comics.
Yeah, I presume Black Manta is going to be the main villain of the next film.
Yeah. For me, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great movie, very visually appealing. Although some of the structure, as I've said with previous DCEU films, and also some of the effects towards the third act aren't as good as other films.
I'd maybe give it a 7 or a 7.5. It's good, but it is overly long.
Very cliche as well.
Yeah, although
I think it's aware of
I kind of liked the kind of national treasure like quest element.
Yeah,
where they had to, you know, go. I mean, obviously, you know, the trident is just a MacGuffin to like move the plot forward.
Yeah.
But I think that fit, and it, you know, their quest in the desert kind of you know, that it was definitely fun. Yeah. Although there's a horrible cover of Toto's Africa.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's awful.
Yeah.
But the rest of the music in it is quite good. But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on that.
Moving on to a film we saw a week ago.
Yes.
Shazam. What do you think of that?
Well, we were lucky enough to see this very early.
Yeah.
In the UK, it was. It's actually not. At the time of this recording, it has not been released. It's going to be released on Friday the 5th, and we saw it on Wednesday the 27th. So we got quite a good advanced screening.
Yeah, definitely.
As this, you know, is not even in cinemas at the time of recording, huge spoiler warning.
Spoiler for this.
So if you've just got to this point, spoiler warning. We'll leave it in the description
also,
as well.
Before we start Shazam, apologies for the runtime. I know we did say this one was going to be a lot shorter. We're an hour and 6 minutes here.
Yeah,
but
we were worried it wouldn't be long enough. This one,
but, we're glad we can keep the conversation going for you guys. So
I didn't think I had this many thoughts on the DC universe.
But if you want to continue with Shazam, there, Callum.
Right. So I really like all of the characters in it, except for one. Well, alright, I like all of the characters, not all of the actors. There's one specifically, which is Asher Angel, who
you
plays...
Don't like Asher Angel? No?
Well, I thought we agreed on this, like young Billy Batson.
Yeah, one thing we did point out immediately after seeing it was
Billy
Batson and Shazam, obviously the same character, do not feel like the same character.
No.
And of course they're played by two different actors of a different age group. But
they're meant to be the same character.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Zachary Levi is far more charismatic.
Yeah.
Granted, he's an older actor, he's had more experience, but still, like, Zachary Levi has never been compared to, like, DiCaprio. He's been famous for doing, like, moderately successful comedy shows.
Yeah,
Chuck, good show.
Excellent show, yeah.
But he's not good in any particular other film, but he's great in this.
Yeah.
And he plays like a 15-year-old better than Asher Angel does.
Yeah, I was really surprised. You know, I hadn't watched any of the trailers for this, but I had seen, you know, on-set images and shots from the trailer. And I don't know, I'm so used to him having a beard, like his face looked wrong. Yeah. You know, like he had such a like naked baby face. Like he did look like a 15-year-old, but like jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
No, I was gonna say, I had mentioned this to you, as I say, after the film. It feels like this film should be a 15. I don't know whether because in our screening the volume in the cinema was really loud, but there is a scene and.
How do you think the volume is? Does that look a little?
It does
low
look
to
a
you?
little low, the volume here, but we'll
we
move closer.
We had turned down the speaker volume just because it sounded a bit echoey. But yeah,
I can turn it up.
I do agree with your.
There is one particular
consensus.
scene, the opening scene, in fact, with Mark Strong's interpretation of Dr. Savannah, with his brother and his dad. That scene's really dark, and there's a lot of jumps. I don't want to say jump scares, but there's a lot of subversion in the film.
And I can tell you why. It's also directed by a horror director.
Is it? I thought it might have been.
It was directed by I can't remember it. You don't have to look it up. His surname's Samberg, and he directed Lights Out, which came out recently enough. It does feel like it was directed by a horror director. In my opinion, yeah, I do think it should have been a 15 maybe,
Like-
because it's quite dark and it's quite inappropriate.
Like,
It's surprisingly inappropriate.
There's a scene where Dr. Savannah releases his goons from his eye, and like I'll be honest, they do look rather grotesque looking.
Yeah.
But then like they kill everyone, and like it's not as if they show characters being eaten in this film.
Do they?
Yeah, they show like the monsters putting a woman down his throat.
Yeah.
But like it's really dark.
I mean,
also,
there's no blood, but the violence is quite brutal.
Oh, it is.
Like there's people just like thrown from buildings and stuff.
Yeah. I think if we're going to analyze Mark Strong's performance, obviously in my opinion, he's great as Merlin in the Kingsman franchise.
He's great in everything I see him in.
He's great in Kick-Ass. Who does he play?
Frank Domingo. No, and he's the best part of the Green Lantern film as well.
Yeah, he is good as Sinestro.
Yeah.
In terms of Dr. Savannah, I think he's great. I think it's hilarious when he throws his dad out the window. But,
no, it's he throws his brother out the window, and
Sorry.
then one of his goons eats his dad, I think. Yeah.
But Zachary Levi, as we've mentioned, is fantastic. Asher Angel, in my opinion, he's fine. He serves his purpose.
Yeah, I mean, Zachary Levi, they have about equal screen time, which I didn't expect.
Zachary Levi and the Shazam character, not the wizard, are introduced much later than I thought.
Yeah.
Like half an hour. Maybe,
Like,
maybe not half an hour.
let's call him Captain Marvel.
We'll call him Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel is, he's in the film a lot less than I expected him to be.
Shazam the wizard's in it a lot more than I thought he'd be.
Really? He's in it for like a total of like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I thought
he's in 2 scenes and then he dies.
But regardless, Jimon Honsu plays him really well.
Yeah.
Really good. Who's like, yes, Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman, yeah.
Obviously, he's been notoriously successful with
From It, yeah.
From It, I haven't seen it myself.
He's probably my favorite character in It.
He's actually really good in this.
Yeah.
I really like.
He reminds me a lot of myself
Jack Dylan.
in It and in this film, because in It he's a bit of a hypochondriac because his, which I can kind of relate to, and he's always injuring himself, and I'm always like tripping over my own feet. And then in this film he's obsessed with superheroes and he's always asking dumb questions and making stupid observations. So I was just like Callum 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did feel like me, and I thought he was genuinely excellent.
Yeah, I think the action scenes in general are excellent.
Yeah.
Especially the scene with the Shazam family.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming at all.
Weirdly, yeah, it's such a big part of the continuity, but I had literally no expectation of that happening.
Yeah.
But
Costumes are great.
yeah, and like grown-up Freddie Freeman's probably my favorite of the Shazam family.
Is that played by
Adam Brody.
Adam Brody, yes, and who played the guy from
DJ
Riverdale?
Catrona. Oh, sorry, Ross Butler played grown-up Eugene.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Mark Strong, obviously, we mentioned this earlier in the podcast with the shouting during fights. There's a really hilarious subversion scene.
Yeah, where they're both floating in the air and they're
I'm going to kill you.
They're a huge mile apart. You just hear Mark Strong like whispering to himself, expecting Captain Marvel to hear, and it's hilarious.
I think Mark Strong's a really comedic actor, even though he doesn't
is.
probably know. Like,
I mean, he's excellent in everything he does. I mean, Kick-Ass is obviously a comedy, and
yeah.
Frank Domingo. Sorry, Matthew's granddad just peeked in and it's hilarious.
Just as I said, Frank.
Yeah, but he's excellent in Kick-Ass, which is obviously a comedy, and then Kingsman. But he's not the most comedic part of them.
No.
He's kind of being funny by not delivering humor in a very humorous world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like everyone's being funny around him, which makes it funnier that he's being so serious.
Yeah.
But that's not, and that is kind of what happens in this film. But they've kind of cranked it up a notch, and he does it even more, and he does it even better.
If we talk about the end credit scene before we give our concluding thoughts,
yeah,
I think it's really dumb.
It's really dumb, and I'm just sorry, pad for a second. I'm looking up an interpretation because it's such an obscure like comic book deep cut that I have literally no idea who the character is. Like a caterpillar appears.
Basically, for those who don't really care about spoilers.
Oh well, I mean, if they don't care about spoilers, they've already. Spend probably too much listening to the podcast.
Basically, there's a scene in the movie for a brief couple seconds where they show a caterpillar inside a box.
I think his name is Mr. Mind,
It's Mr. Mind,
but
yeah,
I can't.
I've never heard. I'll be
that.
honest. I've never heard of him before this movie.
No, I had never.
But essentially, it's a mind-controlling caterpillar who has time-controlling abilities. But I do wish in some part that they had introduced The Rock as Black Adam, because I think The Rock and Zachary Levi would play off each other nicely.
Yeah, and I was really hoping that it was gonna help build up. We forgot to mention this with Justice League, which I'd hoped to. The in Justice League,
yeah,
I was hoping that scene was Lex Luthor calling to recruit
in Justice League.
Yeah, you know, Deathstroke played by Joe Manganiello. That if they continue with him in that role, it'll be excellent. And then Jesse Eisenberg looking like a comic book accurate kind of Gene Hackman-esque Lex Luthor. And then I thought this was, you know, that call to arms. I thought that was either Lex Luthor or I thought it was the Joker over the PA system, but it turned out it was a caterpillar.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised by that.
I guess maybe that's sort of Shazam's humor, the subversion there. But
maybe
if I were to give my concluding thoughts on a favourite scene, my favourite scene would probably be, I don't know, probably the Mark Strong when he gets the orb. I think that's a really good scene. Yeah, I like that.
I like all of the like hand filmed scenes where they're training to test all of Captain Marvel's superpowers.
Yeah.
I find that really funny, minus the flossing, because just watching that pisses me off, if I'm honest. But yeah, Zachary Levi, I didn't expect him to be as good in this, because I thought he was probably just gonna phone it in a little bit with, like what he did with Fandral the Dashing in Thor, the Dark World.
I think he's good in
He's perfectly serviceable in the Thor films, in Thor 2 and 3, but he's nothing special, so I didn't expect much. Despite how much I love Zachary Levi, I didn't expect him to be so good in this film.
He's definitely my favourite lead in the worlds of DC.
Yeah, I think maybe my favourite scene is actually just when he rocks up to the store and goes, can I have some of your finest beer, please? Like, that is so hilarious. And that is the one scene.
That scene is great.
That's the scene where I most believe that he was playing a 15-year-old in an adult's body.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of it takes a lot of cues from Big, the Tom Hanks film, where he's a boy in an adult's body, and I felt really convinced in that scene that was the character.
Also later on that scene, the armed robbers enter the store and he's like, shoot me in the head, and he's like,
oh, that's hilarious.
You're dead. That's great. Loved it.
Although,
rating out of 10.
Can I just say before how bad a person he is for most of the film? Yeah. Like, I was really surprised.
But he's 15.
But yeah, that did surprise me, because I've always thought of him as like the
mature 15.
I always thought of him as like the fun, optimistic Superman.
Yeah.
But this film kind of subverted that for the most part. Until he really,
including Henry Cavill's head.
Yeah. Until he decides to team up and join and accept himself as part of the Shazam family. Before he does that, he's kind of just a jerk. He causes a bus to crash and then catches it, and then he's just happy about catching it.
I always find it strange how they depict Captain Marvel to be as powerful as Superman, and yet when he's thrown into a building, it makes a brief smash in one story. Like, when it's like,
how do you mean?
Like, Dr. Savannah throws him into a building and it smashes like a little window.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Then if Zod throws
Superman, it destroys the city. Yeah.
Yeah, but
although, talking about Cavill maybe being out, as you briefly mentioned a moment ago, it was a body double. I looked it up. So at the very end of the film, Captain Marvel, throughout, I thought it was really sweet, the relationship between Billy Batson and Freddie Freeman.
I thought what even sweeter was the relationship with the foster family in general. Really sweet.
I was really disappointed when he decided to be a jerk and not show up the first time to have lunch with Freddie, and then he's being bullied.
Yeah.
But the payoff at the end is so good. It's kind of like Chekhov's gun. You introduce it at the beginning. He failed to show up, and then he doubles down by bringing Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me it was obvious that it wasn't Cavill, because they would have just shown his face.
Yeah.
So I was just, they just show his chest and they go, oh my god, I can't believe, you won't believe who I brought, and that kind of annoyed me.
It did. It just sort of like felt like the DCEU was giving the middle finger to fans.
Yeah, like that in my mind that kind of cements the Cavill's out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the second end credit scene? A complete letdown for me. It was really disappointing.
Yeah,
It's just him
tries to talk to a fish.
Yeah, and then it just turns out to be a dumb Aquaman joke.
Yeah.
Like where they're just putting down a character that they did quite successfully in portraying in the last film.
Strange.
It is strange.
If I were to give Shazam a rating out of 10, though, I'd give it an 8.5.
I'd give it the same.
I really like it, just below Man of Steel for my favourite Worlds of DC movie.
I think it's without doubt, for me anyway, the best made and the best written, but I don't know if it's my favourite. As a film, I have to give it probably the highest rating out of all of them, which I'd say 8.5, but it's maybe not the one I had the most fun with. I think maybe it kind of felt like, Fast and Furious, where, they know each other for a little bit and now they're calling themselves a family.
Yeah.
They like fought Dr. Savannah together and now they're instantly like a family, as in, he sees them as his literal brothers and sisters, even though he's only been with them a couple of days. That seemed a bit forced, if I had to criticise.
So if you were going to give your favourite and least favourite entry into the Worlds of DC, what would you say?
Oh, it is genuinely really difficult because a lot of them aren't technically good films, but I enjoy all of them.
They're all on the same level for me in terms of none of them are bad, as in Thor are bad for me. Like I've mentioned in previous podcasts that Thor's my least favourite MCU entry, but none of them are as great as a good MCU movie, i.e. First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, in my opinion.
I think Shazam comes very close.
Shazam does come very close, but I think what it lacks is the wow factor, as in, there's no real scenes like, that is like amazing, in my opinion.
I think I'd have to say that Shazam is my favourite.
Yeah.
But I feel like my opinion will probably lessen with time.
I don't know why, but whether it's because it's new, whether I like it so much. I sort of felt the same with Aquaman, but I don't see my liking for it ever disappearing. To be fair, I do love it.
We had a very good cinema experience. It was lots of leg room. It was a great time. Excellent seats. Picked by me, obviously. Paid for by my brother. I really enjoyed the cinema experience. I don't know, my opinion might lessen of it, but I'd say that is my favourite, and my least favourite is, it's got to be Suicide Squad, I guess.
My favourite would be Man of Steel. I've mentioned I love the characters in it and the story, especially the flashbacks. Least favourite would probably be Justice League, just because I think it ruins a lot of the characters that I had watched and sort of over the years, and I don't think it does them justice, if excuse the pun.
Just a moment to point out, I don't know how we've done this for so long.
I know this is nearly the length of the MCU.
Yeah, and it was 3 times as many movies.
Yeah.
But do you want to go on to very briefly talk about our hopes and maybe our level of anticipation for upcoming ones?
Take us away.
Pad for a second, I need to look it up.
Oh, well, obviously the next entry into the Worlds of DC is Birds of Prey, which is...
Well, I mean, Joker is coming out this year. It's not part of the universe, but we could still talk about it because I feel like until we actually fully review it, we won't get a chance to talk about it. Yeah. So
the trailer was released today. Callum hasn't seen it, as is a no trailer policy.
Yeah.
However, I personally loved it. I think it looks really dark, really gritty. Reminds me of Heath Ledger's performance as the Man Who Laughs, but also...
I think that would have been an excellent title, The Man Who Laughs.
Yeah, similar to The Dark Knight, actually.
Yeah.
But don't worry, guys. I did advertise the podcast on the trailer, so be sure to like it, subscribe, leave a nice comment, all that good stuff.
From what I've seen of the film, which is basically just set images and the test makeup with excellent music, laughing by the Guess Who, excellent. I think he looks excellent. It's probably my favorite visual interpretation of the Joker because, I don't think it seems like this might be a more accurate portrayal of mental health problems.
That's why I think it could land an Oscar if this is good.
Because it's basically in most other interpretations other than The Dark Knight, obviously, it's he landed in a vat of acid, now he's insane, and I don't think that's respectful of mental conditions. I think to show just the downfall of a person and how one bad day can change a person.
I really like that.
I much prefer that to fell in a vat of acid.
Yeah.
So I really hope I know they're definitely going for the gritty makeup look, and I hope they don't end the film with like a climax where he becomes comic Joker with stained skin and green hair, because I don't think that'd fit.
I think if they keep this film grounded, keep their performances really solid, Joaquin Phoenix, very talented actor, I think this could land a number of Academy Awards if this is good, just because it seems like it's going to deal with the mental health issues which are important, and which the Academy needs to recognise.
Yeah, I hope that it'll be good.
Obviously, we've mentioned Birds of Prey.
We're just gonna go through the list of a few, because there's a lot of unconfirmed and rumored and speculated, ones. There's probably 15 that are allegedly in development. So I think we're only going to talk about four, five, or 6.
We'll keep it brief.
Yeah. So Birds of Prey first. Birds of Prey. And the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Looks horrendous.
It does look horrendous.
Looks so cheap.
They shot like a 1 minute teaser in like an air in like a plane hangar or something. Like it looks horrific. It looks like a really terrible photo shoot for weird
cosplayers,
fashion. Like I hate couture fashion.
I don't want to criticize the movie yet, because obviously no footage has been released apart from a brief 20-second intro, but I just don't think it'll be a success. I really hope I'm wrong. Margot Robbie, as I said, fantastic as Harley Quinn. Huntress and Black Canary are starring alongside her.
Indeed. And Renee Montoya, but she is not a superhero, so I don't know why she's in it.
I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah.
Another film I'm hoping is good, Wonder Woman 1984.
Indeed, yeah.
I think it will be better than the first, just because I think the time frame, obviously set during the Cold War, no superhero movie's done that before. We've seen superhero movies deal with the world wars, obviously First Avenger, but I think the Cold War, and obviously hopefully setting up the villain to be Maxwell Lord and Cheetah.
Yeah,
could be great.
I think this will be more of a political thriller, because, as you said, it's the Cold War rather than a physical one. So I think this will be more about, a political agenda than it will be about brute force, which I often like. I much prefer that about the Winter Soldier. Yeah. But I really don't like Kristen Wiig, and I'm concerned that she's going to ruin Cheetah. Cheetah is famously a British character. She's English.
Really?
Barbara Ann Minerva, and I'm concerned. Either way, I'll be disappointed, because either she doesn't do a British accent and I'll be annoyed by that, or she does one and it's going to be horrendous. She is not a good actress.
I'm a little worried as to what the character Cheetah is going to look like. Are they going to use prosthetics, or are they going to use CG? Yeah,
I believe it's unconfirmed. Makeup will look terrible, won't it?
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
Makeup works for like a green alien like Nebula and
Gamora.
But that's prosthetics. With Killer Croc, it would have to be just like straight up makeup for Cheetah. So you're just painting on like black cheetah spots onto Kristen Wiig's skin. Like that would look horrible. So I hope they use CGI.
It's interesting to see if they're going to get Chris Pine back, because he was spotted in set photos.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
Try to give me as least amount of details as possible, because I have tried to avoid them.
Yeah.
One theory I've heard is that Diana. This is I'll say spoilers, but it's a ridiculous theory that is maybe happening. I don't know if it does happen. It is ridiculous. But apparently the reason it was pushed back so far is because they reshot a bunch of it to make it Wonder Woman Flashpoint. Instead, if you heard about it from me, I told you a few months ago.
Okay.
But yeah, instead of giving the Flashpoint storyline, apparently Diana may, somehow go back in time to save Steve Trevor, and that is what messes up the timeline. But that makes no sense, because if the events of the film take place in 1984, how does that affect, those events should have already happened if this is set in the past of the DCEU universe, unless a modern day Diana comes back and then ruins modern day. But even that makes I would hate that.
One theory I would like to see, and hopefully this doesn't ring true, just spoilers if it does, I like if they did Chris Pine is in her head, not literally, but as in she's having sort of PTSD visions of him, and it's sort of what I wish Logan did with Charles, as in Charles died years ago in Logan. Spoilers by the way for Logan.
I remember that being a big theory.
I remember watching a New Rockstars video, and they agreed with this theory that Charles is inside Logan's head,
Yeah.
As a form of PTSD,
Yeah.
and then he's hallucinating, going crazy at the end of the film.
But I usually hate when movies do that.
I've never seen any movie do it.
Well, do you remember Jessica Jones season 2 did it with Kilgrave,
one
and
episode.
that was so disappointing. It was at least 2, but that was so disappointing because David Tennant's such an excellent actor, and he was wasted in that series. We will talk about it when we talk about the Marvel Netflix series, but
also I would like to cover like Doctor Who maybe in an episode or something.
maybe I'd maybe need to
I need
watch
to watch it a bit more, but the last movie I think we'll cover just for time circumstances.
Let me check.
Is it
I mean there are a couple that we could talk
Flash,
about.
or is it The Suicide Squad?
Well, there's 4 that we could talk about.
We can talk about the Batman.
Yeah, we can talk about the Batman very very briefly though, because I don't, there's hardly any plot details. There's no real actors.
Confirmed director is Matt Reeves, who's obviously directed War and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Or not Rise though.
No, he did not. I mean, like, just for briefness, there are pretty much no plot details. So how about just what villains would you like to see?
I'd like to see him fight his way out of Arkham.
Really?
Similar to the games. I'd like to see Riddler.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Scarecrow. And
yeah.
This is an odd one, but I would like to see Clayface just to see what they do. As in,
we've never seen him in live action other than Gotham.
I don't really want him to be like a hulking ogre.
You don't?
No, I want him to like shapeshift because he can't do that.
Well, he can shapeshift, but do you not want to see him in like his original form?
Maybe by the end, but it's not a main priority for me. I just want to see a shapeshifting character. Maybe like he shapeshifts as Gordon.
Fair enough.
From Gordon for the full movie.
They do a lot of that in Gotham. Well, not a lot of it. They've done it a bit in Gotham, where like they've just revealed a character for like a bunch of episodes was just Clayface in disguise. But I don't think they're gonna go with the fighting their way out of Arkham idea because it's a young Batman.
Yeah.
I think if they had done that with Ben Affleck, that would have been brilliant.
Definitely.
So I don't know, maybe down the line they could do a young Batman trilogy and then a Ben Affleck just solo film of him just brutally beating his way out of Arkham. I would like that. That's pretty much all I have to say. Do you want to move on to The Suicide Squad? Like, it's meant to be a sequel to Suicide Squad and they've stuck a "the" in front of it.
Yeah.
Which will send my alphabetized DVD collection into chaos.
The Batman Begins and the Dark Knight trilogy have a haunting effect in Callum.
Oh yes, indeed. I had to spend £10 of my hard-earned money on I had to rebuy the entire Dark Knight trilogy because I have an alphabetized DVD collection and it would have genuinely sent me to tears if I had to like put Batman Begins and the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises in different sections. So that was a brutal waste of money. Anyway, back to The Suicide Squad. It's apparently going to be directed by James Gunn. I don't. That was he pretty much leapt on that project after he was fired from Guardians Volume 3, even though he's back now. But so far they've already announced so many things that annoy me. They've recast Will Smith as Idris Elba.
I think Will Smith was good.
I think Will Smith was good, and I think Idris Elba will be good.
Yeah.
But I hate recasting,
Especially if they're going to keep Margot.
Yeah. Also, like, how can you recast like one member of the cast and then just like pretend?
I know they did
happened?
It with Ruffalo and Norton, but that was a different situation.
It does seem semi-racist just to like swap one black guy in with the other. I'm sure that's not their intention. What I would have done is said
get Will Smith's son,
or just say that Floyd Lawton died and then this is a new guy.
Maybe they will do that.
No, they've confirmed that he's playing Floyd Lawton, which I don't know why they would do that. It's so much easier to just say, oh, he died, or he's gone away, or he retired because of his daughter.
Yeah.
And this guy is taking taking up the persona.
Set it like 10 years in the future and have his daughter be Deadshot or something.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. I see that.
Because Harley Quinn, let's be honest, like Margot Robbie doesn't really age. Like you just have Harley Quinn be like 40.
She's looked pretty much the same since she was in her 20s. Is she in her 20s? She is in her 20s. No. Moving on. We'll go to The Flash. Not happening. It's just not happening. Ezra's out.
You might say we were quick, like Barry Allen.
Yeah, like Ezra's out. There's been like 6 different directors. I think it's done.
Yeah.
You know, it's penciled in for 2021. It's not
I
happening.
love the way we're on like a Wikipedia page for upcoming DCU movies.
We're so professional.
But yeah, they've just taken Green Lantern Corps off that list. Like they've just given up on that movie.
No, there are so many that they've just taken off the list.
It just confuses. Sorry, Colin, but it just confuses me as to why they're prioritizing movies like Birds of Prey when they have when they haven't even like done a Flash movie.
It's because Margot Robbie makes money.
I know Margot Robbie's a very talented actress, as I mentioned before, and Harley Quinn brings in money and is a very cool character, as is Black Canary and as is the Huntress.
However, like they do waste her talent.
Ezra Miller is a funny guy.
He's not funny in Justice League though. Like that's been that and Suicide Squad have been his only appearances.
I think he would have suited Suicide Squad quite well.
Yeah, I guess.
But if we were gonna give, concluding thoughts in the world of DC,
do you want to talk about Aquaman too?
Well, I was going to mention that concluding thoughts as in sequels and stuff.
Solid, yeah.
Aquaman. Well, we'll mention that. Aquaman 2.
I will
I'm
say,
excited for it.
Yeah, I'm not that excited for it because he doesn't have much of a rogues gallery. He pretty much just has Ocean Master.
And
he has Ocean Master, he has Black Manta, so I assume Black Manta is just going to return in full force and he's going to be the main villain.
I guess you could do climate change as the villain, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that was a weirdly big part of the film that, like, why Ocean Master was so pissed off was because people were throwing their trash in the sea.
Which is fair enough. Like,
it makes sense, but it's weird. Also, have you heard, like, they've announced a spin-off to it?
The Trench?
The Trench? How awful does that sound? Like,
so
there was just a weird CGI, a weird CGI faceless army that attacked them in, like, a 6-minute scene that I hated.
Yeah.
And then Aquaman has, like, we didn't mention this in Aquaman, but he just has, like, what do you call them? Like a road flare, and it's somehow lit underwater. Like, did I ever talk to you about that? No, it's so dumb. But yeah, it's just lit underwater. And yeah, they get like 3 minutes of screen time, and now they're saying they want to do like a spin-off movie. It'll be terrible.
I mean, James Wan is a talented horror director, so
they never said that James Wan was doing it.
If not, I'd fear for the movie's quality, to be honest.
But yeah, Aquaman 2. I'm relatively looking forward to. They were quite successful with the underwater scenes, better than I expected. But yeah, I think other than Black Manta, you do kind of need a secondary villain if you're gonna, like, the DC films often are very long, so you kind of do need a supporting villain, and I don't know if they'll be able to muster one. Yeah,
unless they sort of create one. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. But if we were to give our concluding thoughts in the world of DC, I would say, in my opinion, Shazam 2 is the sequel I most want.
Yeah.
Other than Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
I think it's received a lot of
unfair... Man of Steel 2.
Man of Steel 2, obviously, yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, though, with Henry Cavill. I'd like to see this universe get some love, because it gets a lot of unfair criticism.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because Marvel is on, like, the roll now.
Yeah.
Like, Marvel is so successful. I think... I don't see the worlds of DC ever catching up, I'll be honest. I really don't. My only issue is if they keep putting out films like Justice League.
The universe is gonna die soon.
Like, if that, no, like, I don't mean.
I mean, Birds of Prey seems like it's gonna be Suicide Squad, but worse.
Yeah, like it sort of says a lot about a film franchise if your Aquaman film is doubling your Superman film for financial gains.
Yeah, it says something very bad.
It says something very wrong. Even though I love Man of Steel more than Aquaman. What about you, Callum? What are your opinions on the future of the worlds of DC?
I don't know if it has one. I mean, the upcoming slate, I mean, some are terrible, some are fine, and then some just aren't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's...
I would be surprised if Birds of Prey gets cancelled.
I hope it does. Or I hope it goes to, like, DC Universe streaming or something, because
or straight to DVD.
Straight to DVD, but yeah, it looks like that kind of film. I mean, Victor Zsasz with, like, his... But he has like a bleach blonde, like semi skinhead, like 5'5" on the back and sides. It looks terrible.
But
cut that out. No one knows what that means.
Anyway, we'd like to thank you very much for listening today. Apologies if it is a long one. It's an hour and 37 so far.
Wow, nearly matched the MCU.
Nearly matched the MCU. We've had a great time, obviously, talking about comic book movies again. Next week, well, I'll say next week.
It'll be
2 weeks.
The next episode.
Next episode. What did you say it was going to be?
Well, the next one that we're recording will be Fox Marvel, but the next one to be released will be our Endgame trailer.
Endgame trailer, just before.
Sorry, not trailer. Episode.
Speaking of the Endgame trailer, came out yesterday. Calm, as I said, is no trailer policy.
Literally no thoughts.
No thoughts.
Yeah.
I personally loved it.
Yeah.
It gave away a few cool
Please
shots.
don't go into any detail. Yeah.
The theme and the music back in the trailer is great. Cool shots. Anyway, to conclude, thanks very much for listening. Next episode after this will be the Endgame review,
episode,
which will be a long one, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That'll probably be the longest one yet.
Yeah, we'll probably be yawning a lot. We'll have seen a midnight screening,
Yeah.
maybe maybe taking a nap.
Actually,
yeah.
But
Just to say, we have joined SoundCloud recently.
Yeah.
Same name, same logo. So if you look us up, you will recognize our logo. So please make sure to follow us there if you've subscribed here.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks very much for your kind comments as well, and we'll keep putting these podcasts out because we really enjoy doing them.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for listening, guys, and have a good one.
Bye-bye.
While I ate my hero cake, their horses were drowning.